Before we get going on the video this week, I want to give you guys a quick update on the gym, as some of you may have caught wind. We are moving, in fact, next week from today, right? November 1st, we're going to be moving in with Mordhau. They're just a couple of miles down the road from where we currently are. But they were gracious enough to give us a good deal on rent and let us keep going after my partner decided he no longer wanted to be in business, because I'm not stopping. So the downside of it is we're going to be on a part-time schedule. We only get to do 4 classes a week as opposed to our normal 10 to 15. But rent is significantly cheaper. The other thing is we don't get to have any signage up. We're just operating inside of their gym. So I'm going to really need you guys' help to push the online marketing and make sure that we get the word out there that we still exist and we're still training. We're going to be Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. That's always been a good time for me. Running business here in the Phoenix area. So we're going to keep on running with that. We won't be bumping into the other guys too much doing that. As you saw in the last clip, the squat rack, the weights and everything are now at my home on my back porch. We can't bring all of our equipment with us just because we have a lot of permanent equipment. They don't have the capability to house permanent equipment. And our deal is basically for 6 months, which means I don't want to have to go through another teardown process and relocation. We do have an option to potentially stay longer with them if necessary, but ideally we want to get back out there in our own space. So we're basically going to be training out of a couple of duffel bags, pads and gloves, focusing on Wing Chun and kickboxing. We will still be grappling for sure. But the floors there are not super suitable for grappling. So we're probably going to be mostly focusing on the upper game and not so much on the ground for probably the next 6 months, unless we can figure out a way to get some mats over there. Or if people just really want to be Spartan about it, and we'll just train hard style and maybe wear some knee sleeves so you don't get your knees scuffed up too bad. But there are options. So as you can see, the whiteboard is now in my home office, and we will be doing some videos here. We may be able to do some videos there, but with the limited schedule, limited hours, that may not be as possible. I have a ton of videos, enough for a few months, kind of in the can, waiting to be produced and ready to go. So you're going to continue seeing the previous gym, the old gym, for a little while, but I may interject here and there with some whiteboard videos. I love to do whiteboard videos, and you may see me out on my porch with the weights, and I've got the Bob dummy out there and stuff like that. So there may be some outside videos as well. Time will tell. Don't know for sure. So I figured today's video, which was kind of originally conceived of as, hey, just give me 6 months, is actually a really appropriate video to end our final week at the old gym with, because the next 6 months are going to be a drastic shift in our training schedule and how we get things going. On the plus side, we're lowering prices, and so it's going to be $80 a month, no contracts, just come in and train, right? All 4 days, no limitations, whatever, right? I mean, it's just like come in and train. $80 a month, $20 drop in, just like before. But no contracts, and let's just get down to it. All right, guys, let's get on to the video of the week, and I will talk to you guys later.
One of the things that I remind people of quite frequently is the fact that my job as a teacher and a coach is not to necessarily be the best martial artist on the mat, though that doesn't hurt. That should not be a permanent condition. I should be training people to actually become better than me. My job is actually to be the best teacher on the mat. And because that is my business is not showing off to people that I'm good at martial arts. My business is making other people good at martial arts, and to an extent, getting them stronger and more athletically capable. To that end, right, it is important for me and other teachers, of course, to stay up on all of the data and the studies and whatnot pertaining to human learning and teaching and all those things related, to that. And there was a cool video by Veritasium, which, granted, look, I mean, this is a pop culture thing. This is not necessarily like a deep dive into literature, but Veritasium put out a video based on if we take the 10,000 hour rule as kind of as accurate, which I've mentioned before in the past. It's not entirely accurate, but given that it is kind of an observed trend, it's good enough for our purposes. If we take that as a rule, he brings up that there are some other conditions within that 10,000 hours that you actually need to meet. And I'm not going to spoil his whole video. I will link that on our Substack so you can go check that out. But basically he mentions that you need actually deliberate, practice, regular challenge in a valid environment with repeated, now I'm saying repeated exposure. He said repeated experiences, but basically you need to do reps. And with timely feedback, basically meaning, and we've talked about this a lot before, do you need the chances to make mistakes, be able to identify them and correct them. Now, you also need to identify successes as well. But the point is that you need actual feedback within the correct environment and everything. And like, this is an extremely important part of this. This is one of the reasons why sparring or other live training is important, because that's actually part of being in a valid environment, and that's part of getting repeated exposure, and that is a major part of timely feedback. You need things where students can make mistakes and not in a sterile environment that doesn't have anything to do with what the actual end result is supposed to be or supposed to look like. So with that being the case, let's go back to this 10,000 hour rule. This is something that's interesting, right? You can take this and add to it the concept of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, and you can give yourself a way to program and periodize things so that not only can you achieve this, but you can kind of put things into these, for lack of a better term, timestamps that, provided that you are fulfilling all of this, that you can get through some of this in a systematic way and be able to kind of mark progress and kind of tell where you should be aiming for some of your goals. Right now, like when we talk about lifting and getting stronger, we often talk about breaking things into 8, 12, 16 week cycles, with rest periods and whatnot, and all that is perfectly valid. But let's look at something real quick here. If we take 10,000 hours as roughly the point of mastery, then your 80-20 rule, right? And that means that you get 80% of your results with 20% of the effort. The Pareto thing is a little more complex than that, but for our purposes, that's what it means. That means that at 2,000 hours, you should hit what I would consider to be kind of black belt level, because black belt is not mastery. Black belt means you've kind of made it through to a certain point. Now, some people would even say that might be too long, but for keeping up standards and everything, I'm okay with that. 2,000 hours as black belt. Honestly, how much practice time you put in is going to be up to you. And so you could front load yourself with a ton of practice, or you could, backload yourself with a lot less practice, and that is entirely up to you. So if we were also to call the black belt level like advanced status, then you can actually fractalize the 80-20 rule, meaning that you can kind of basically zoom in and get the same pattern, and zoom in again and get the same pattern, zoom in again and get the same pattern. And so The 20% for the 2000 is 400, which would put you around the intermediate mark. Passing that 400 would kind of put you in at the intermediate mark. And then 80 hours would kind of be like, once you pass that 80 hours, like you're a true beginner, or, early intermediate, post novice, something in that ballpark. 16 hours is, that 16 hours is barely anything, right? That's kind of like your initiation period, right? You getting your feet about you, learning some basics just so you can get going, right? If you have ever decided to jump in on a workout program or everything, you barely feel like you know anything. If you're going to the gym 3 times a week, you barely know anything a month in. But it might be enough for you to understand basic squat form, basic bench form, basic deadlift form, some of your accessory movements. You don't really know anything yet, but you've gotten a handle on a couple of the basics. And that's a really important period, and I would call that the initiation period. In fact, I do call that the initiation period. So your first 16 weeks is that. And then if you want to break it down one more time, then you get 3.2 hours, which, for the modern commercial martial arts, that's basically a week of classes. Most people go to class 3 times a week-ish. And that's kind of like your tryout period, right? So when a martial arts school offers you a free class or even a free week of classes, really what they're doing is they're trying to get you in the door to get you to commit to an initiation period. And, it's then within that first month that you can really start to tell whether it's a good fit for you or not. And so this is where I would say personally is look, as a martial artist, here's my sales pitch for you. If you are in the Metro Phoenix area and you can make it to our school, give me 6 months. Give me 6 months with you. You put in 3 to 4 hours a week. Give me 6 months with you, and we'll really kind of get you through those beginner gains and see if it's really kind of the right fit for you. You really don't know until you've kind of passed through that test, right? And so if we look at this, right, if we break these hours down, so, 3.2 hours basically a week, 16 hours is, that's 1 month at 4 hours a week, right? A month is technically 4.3 weeks long on average, but, given that people will take time off, will miss a class here and there, let's just say, 4 hours a week. Let's say they go to class 3 hours a week, plus they do an hour of homework, or they go to class 4 hours a week, something like that. That's about a month, right? Well, if we stay at 4 hours a week through there, the 80 hours, right, to get kind of through your beginner gains and really kind of be that post-novice phase, at 4 hours a week, that's going to be 5 months. And at 3 hours a week, that's going to be 26 weeks and change, right? So just a hair over 6 months. So what I'm saying is, give me about 6 months, 80 hours of training, really, really see if that's your kind of thing. Then from there, right, to get to your 400, to get to that intermediate phase, right, to go from that post-novice into established intermediate phase. To get to that established intermediate phase, you're actually talking about 2 years at 4 hours a week. Now, for a lot of people, 2 years is going to be not quite black belt, but that's going to be somewhere intermediate. I think that's fair. And again, 4 hours a week, most people aren't training 4 hours a week, but if you do 2 to 3 in class and then some homework, you can make it. And then, from there, if we stay at that 4 hours a week range, 10 years to get to 2000, black belt in 10 years, that sounds about right, right? And then from there, we're talking 50 years to get to the point of mastery. Most people aren't going to make it that long, but hey, if you stuck around for 50 years and you're fulfilling all of these, you're going to do all right. So anyway, that's just a way to look at it. And all I'm asking you is give me 6 months and we'll take it from there. All right, talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with your friends or anybody else who might be interested in this kind of content. If you happen to be in the Metro Phoenix area, come in for a class or just stop in to say hi, we'd love to meet you. Definitely check out our socials and our website that has all of our contact information and all of the other relevant information. And more than anything, check out our Substack. Our Substack will be containing all of the links that we use to cite and reference in our videos, as well as exclusive training content that will be available for premium members. Memberships are cheap, but you can also sign up for free, and we do have articles for free, and we will have more free articles available for you. It is a fantastic platform for what we're doing here, and we hope to see you over there. So I will talk to you guys later, and look out for the next one. Good journey.